Hey, it's your girl KV coming back with the last review for this season of Real Housewives of Potomac, season 10, episode 18, reunion part 3. Chad, this could have been an email. As many clips as they put online, this could have been an email. This could have been a series of posts, child. It was just the best thing about this reunion was the humbling of Giselle. We started the reunion humbling her, and we ended the reunion humbling her. And you know what? We ain't even there yet, but when we get there, we'll get there. We pick up with Monique in this recording, y'all. We can't hear it. Can y'all hear that? I got work being done, but I thought I closed the hall door. Let me check on that. Child, I slick forgot that I already had started this video. I went in there. I'm getting renovations and stuff done. My dad, he's basically a contractor, and my husband knows some things as well. So I got them in there doing stuff. My husband's taking down wallpaper. My daddy, he took like that old ridge work that be on the cabinets. He chiseled that stuff out, and now he's mounting the TV onto the brick fireplace. So I got caught up like, oh yeah, I was doing something. Yeah, y'all. And then I realized I lost an overlay. I lost an overlay to the blow dry, to the blowout. The blowout done cost me a nail. Well, not even a nail because my nail is there. But the overlay, y'all, is supposed to remain there. I'm glad that wasn't the show now, child. Anywho, let's get on to this review. We start picking up where we left off with Monique in this recording. She essentially hit the la-la. I know y'all ain't gonna be able to see it. I know y'all ain't gonna be able to do it, but y'all can listen. And plays it for the ladies in the rooms that are here. We now know that it was one of her children saying that who is Miss Stacy, essentially. And that can be anything. Like, that's not saying anything. So that was just a little bit like, okay, what exactly does that prove? How does that prove that Stacy did anything? Chris could have said, I'm going out with Miss Stacy. This is Miss Stacy as they was leaving. So like, it was just so ridiculous to me. Stacy is just looking like, girl, huh? What are y'all talking about? I was very taken aback that even though she knew that it couldn't be played because of Chris's gag order, the fact that she recorded her child to play back for the reunion. It's one thing to play your child's recording back to your husband or to the court when you don't want to bring your child into court, but here they are saying it on their own free will type deal. I can see that, but using this at the reunion to try to burn Stacy, I was like, yeah. I was so and then Kiana is like, Monique, it was just so heartfelt the way that you stepped in and you were so open with us and it was just so heartfelt. And then for Stacy to go and tell Chris, because when I left, I talked to Cookie that day, and Cookie said that Chris is mad and he gonna do a cease and desist. Stacy said, are you guys hearing this? She's talking about Cookie. We're talking about Cookie. And I'm feeling the same way at this point because it's like, yeah, we're talking about Cookie. Cookie is the culprit, Kate and Cookie. She literally just incriminated herself. The way Tanya placed herself at the scene of the crime unprovoked, that is what Kiana just did. Like, girl, you just told on yourself. But everybody's too busy trying to make Stacy the villain that we ain't gonna pay no attention to that. Stupid. And it's just like, Wendy. Wendy, you're looking like, your body language is just giving that you wanted to confess. Wendy's just like, I'm just sitting here like, Monique, what do you believe? Who do you believe? She's like, I believe my child. I believe such and such. They was like, Miss Stacy, da da da. And I'm like, Miss Stacy, what though? Wendy, Stacy is like, why would I do this to you? I have nothing to gain from this. And I'm like, she really doesn't. Stacy don't lie on other people. She lied about her own life, really. So I don't think she would, it just don't make sense for her to go as far as to do all that. Whereas Kay and Cookie, they're so miserable that yes, this definitely gives something that they would, you know, a scheme they would come together to come to Stacy with the bull. Okay? Absolutely. Wouldn't put it past them not one bit. Stacy says we all need to sit down with Chris, and Monica's like, oh, Chris would never do that. And Jassy or somebody was like, well, yeah, especially if he's sleeping with her. If he's still sleeping with her. I was like, Lord, they're so messy. Now we kind of get to Angel and this her girls trip and how people stayed in different homes. And yeah, I now realize that for this group that's staying in separate homes, you know, it may have not been the best thing. And he's like, yeah, girl, especially, you know, these silent circles. No, not these girls. Monique wishes she was there for all of the meditation circles, but the rest of them are like, yeah, we don't meditate. Like they played in the package. Giselle said, I don't want truth and tranquility. I want lies and foolishness. I said, hello. She just said this is what, that is an admission. That is an admission. So, I know, yeah. Silent circles. They talk about Giselle taking over the trip. And then they talk about Giselle taking over the trip, and does anybody think Giselle was doing too much? Kiana, of course, feels like Giselle was doing too much. Giselle is like, of course you would. You weren't in the house with no water. Let somebody that didn't have no water think I was doing too much. Kay gets to hollering about how she's had bad times on this trip. She's had a bad room on this trip. And they refer back to when they were in, where was that, Dominican, when she came on her first group trip. She says that her room had mold and she had to get moved in the middle of the night. I said, operative phrase, baby, you got moved within 24 hours of identifying a problem. So this is still worse off than what you had to deal with. Go away. And Karen comes out. Something's going on with her mouth. I can't tell if it's big lip, little lip, how I look now. You know, big face, little face. If you know, you know. I can't tell if some denture situation going on, or if it's just a half a syringe too much of the filler. It's just something funny going on in the mouthful area for Karen. She claims she does not need the Grand Dame title, but you know, men at work, Chad, men at work. She don't need the Grand Dame title, but essentially she's just that girl. So the people want her to be the Grand Dame, so she got to give the people what they want. And it's just like, yeah, so some people feel that, you know, cheering and clapping for you, like, why? Like, she got DUIs. I'm like, yeah, she is a drunk. She is a 60-year-old drunk trying to talk down and be condescending for other people, and it is insane. I've never quite been here for Karen, but now I really can't deal. Now she's really gonna be insufferable. Cause when they did her little special, the fact that she said, I asked them girls, what are they doing here so young? It took me 60 years to get here. Yes, you are the old bitch in jail because you shouldn't have your old ass in jail. How dare you get in there trying to chastise somebody? They're supposed to be 19 in jail because that's when you're supposed to be making the mistakes, not 60. The nerve. Get her out of here. She tells Andy that she would have sat in his lap if somebody was sitting in her seat. I said the gag is they gonna get to talking about her and Stacey, and Karen looks down the couch trying to find Stacey, and Stacey is sitting right next to her because that's who was in your seat. Because that's who was first chair, baby. I screamed. Stacey said, "Were you looking for me?" Baby, I screamed because she did look down the couch. I'm like, I know good and daggone. Ooh, that had me weak, okay? And then when Stacey asked her, "Were you looking for me?" She starts, Karen starts going on some little tangent, and then she's like, "And I'm the only one that lives in Potomac, by the way. I'm the only one. Yeah." I'm like, girl, what they got to do with anything? And anyway, Angel about to be in their Potomac with you, but we don't know if she's going to be on this show. But still, Karen asked Stacey if she is still lying. She asked the girls if they were behaving. I said, not Miss Thomas Jefferson's concubine asking somebody if they still lying. Not Miss Fourth DUI gotta do 6 months in jail is 60-something years old asking if somebody else is behaving. Girl, go away. We behaving better than you, Jailbird. Well, maybe not Wendy, but yeah, even her, because she ain't putting nobody's life in danger. So everybody up here is behaving more than you, Jailbird. I'm so over Karen already. She still don't think she's really an alcoholic. She said that she's going through complete sobriety. I said, okay, so you're never going to drink again? You're going to be on this show around these girls not drinking. Let's see how long that lasts. She's going to be like Heavenly with that mug. Y'all remember in the early seasons, Heavenly didn't want to drink on camera, so she would put everything in the coffee mug and act like it wasn't crap. That's how Karen finna be, y'all. She finna always have a coffee cup. And that's when Andy talks about they applauding her. And she said, "Andy, I am facing my addiction. And I am thriving. Okay, I am thriving." They all go around and they say how they feel about Karen being out. Whoop, whoop, da bam. Apparently Giselle was leaving little love letters in her mailbox. You know, keep your head up, girl. We sisters through it all. Yada, yada, yada. Monique starts talking and she starts crying about being proud of Karen for the growth. She says that Karen, when Karen's parents passed away, Karen put a wall up. She sees that Karen has been doing the work. I said, coming fresh out of jail, what work? Why are you crying? What is happening? This is when Kiana should have turned around and said, what's happening? What is happening? When she interrupted Angel giving Wendy an apology, this was she should have, what is happening? Because why are you crying? Monique said somebody gonna film with her, okay, baby? Somebody's gonna film with her. Giselle got her first warning by, "You're sitting next to Wendy," at the top, and she gonna get humbled again. We see that Giselle's skin on thin ice, y'all. So people gotta kiss up to Ashley and the Grand Dame, I suppose. Because Wendy, we don't even know if Wendy gonna really be here next season. I'm sure they'll pick those cameras up early. I have a feeling they will pick those cameras up early. And I bet they wish they picked those cameras up early for Karen. Well, Karen probably shooed away the cameras anyway. But Wendy, clearly she gonna have them cameras to the last day. So it's gonna be a camera crew with Wendy. So Karen is a nut basket, y'all. Ashley and Wendy say the same thing. That Karen be drunk, day drinking, drunk at these restaurants. They say the same thing. Ashley gives a specific, legal seafood. Wendy don't give a specific. Karen says Ashley is telling the truth and that Wendy is not. Wendy is a fibbing. I said they saying the same thing. And her reason for Wendy being a liar and now Ashley is nobody would talk to Wendy. Why not? I've always wondered if Karen's issue with Wendy is colorism. I'm gonna always jump to that. If it's a dark-skinned woman and a light-skinned woman being mean, that's gonna be my first thought. It might not be my last thought, but it's gonna be my first thought. But then I was like, okay, well, maybe Karen didn't like Wendy because Wendy came in with the real pomp and circumstance to be snooty. Like Karen doesn't have the pedigree to be snooty. She married into that. But Wendy has on paper pedigree to be snooty. And I feel like, you know, Karen didn't appreciate that. That's what I want to believe is the problem with them. This is somebody I share spaces with out in the real world, but I don't want her on my show overshadowing me. I think that's what Karen's problem was with Wendy. Well, still is, honestly. So Karen tells Wendy that they're going to deal in reality. I said, Karen, don't piss me off, because reality is not something that you deal in. You deal in delusion, okay? That's why you just did jail time, because you're delusional. Her beef with Wendy is because Wendy felt a way about Stacy saying that Karen was talking smack about Wendy. I said, Karen, you mad that you got caught? You mad that Wendy caught you talking smack? People whispered it in the past and she didn't believe it, but now somebody new is saying the same thing, and you mad that Wendy is starting to believe it. Karen, you can go to hell. Like, excuse me, ma'am. I can't stand when people turn their feelings and emotions on you because you feel away. It's like, no. Let's start where we at. We're not going to end with you reacting to what I... And that is what is happening. And that's why I can't take Karen serious. This is why I can't take Karen serious. Because Wendy had always been a friend of Karen. She never betrayed her, as she's trying to say. And Wendy is all in her feelings, where she's saying that Karen called her mama a witch. And that's when things kind of went downhill. And Karen is like, I didn't really call your mama a witch. I said when they was calling your mama a witch. I can see Wendy being sensitive in that moment, in that scene, because we saw her crying. But girl, current day, you know that lady wasn't calling your mama a witch. But I would have preferred her not to say it. She could have just said, when them girls was talking crazy about your mama. You know, it's like, and not your whole daughter and your injured son, okay? You ain't got a whole daughter me, okay? Don't do that. So, where we at? Karen, well, you know, Wendy, when we're talking about your mom, you know, I like your mom, you know. I like especially when she told you to shut the fuck up. Giselle immediately said, Karen, because girl, what is all of this for? Why you got all this venom for Wendy? It's just so lame. You know you're wrong if Giselle is the one inserting herself to defend Wendy. Even Andy was like, girl, that was a very serious moment for her. Like, essentially, her mama was wrong when she said it, and you wrong for bringing it back up and trying to apply it here. You know what I mean? Andy's just like, you know, let's just move on, okay? I can smell the fireball from here. You know, we're not gonna get anywhere with the delusions of the Grand Dame. We can just next topic. We see Wendy's package, all of her footage about bragging about the money, the new house renovations, and the footage of, you know, they picked them cameras back up real randomly and filmed, who was it, Giselle, Tia, and somebody else standing in a circle discussing Wendy getting arrested. Giselle said, all them degrees and this the crime y'all committing? I said, right? Don't make no sense. They know they're gonna pick them cameras back up in a jiffy, baby. I had to go check on the renovations. TV is up. Oh, it's so cool. I am so excited to be renovating this house. It has been 10 years of it just looking the same. And I was like, you know what? We should renovate. Anywho, I had a visceral reaction to Angel's comments. I just felt like it was unnecessarily nasty. Like, it ain't have to be all that. It's still showing Angel, you still got more smoke for Wendy than you do Giselle. And I truly don't understand. She said that Wendy was using her as a red herring from her fraud charges, and she just hopes that justice is served. Baby, it would be up and stuck forever. Wendy, you love to forgive. Don't let that be one. Don't let that be one. Now, Wendy was wrong and annoying for the whole she wanted a house that cost $15K but only wanted to pay $2K a month. That was stupid. It was wrong. It was unnecessary. But that was in response to how Angel had already been fly at the mouth and acting snippy with Wendy. It was in response to. So, Angel, what is this about? She still got more smoke for Wendy than Giselle. Because I'm like, Wendy didn't start the eviction thing. She started the I want to pay $1,000. But she didn't start the eviction thing. That was a Giselle. Just like Catfish, Giselle. But still, there is no smoke for Giselle. Angel doubles down on it, y'all. She says that, she'll have her day in court. That's what I meant by justice will be served. Ashley's just like, that's not fair. That's a reach. That's a reach. Exactly, girl, because shut up. Shut up. Wendy's like, girl, I'm facing jail. Y'all words don't hurt me no more. Because Andy was like, Wendy, how does that make you feel? Child, bye. I have bigger fish to fry. Kay says that their relationship, Wendy's and Kiana's, suffered because Wendy knew that she was going through this the whole season. Sadness and madness, they gotta go. I'm so sick of them. They are truly so self-absorbed and insane. Giselle again steps in and says, no, actually, I think it's the opposite. She had no idea. Then Giselle actually throws Wendy a bone. Giselle actually throws Wendy a bone. It was too funny. She brings up how Wendy has said in previous seasons, probably before the robbery even happened, that she doesn't know how her finances are handled, okay? She doesn't know how the bills are paid. He does all of that. People took that as, oh, she don't pay no bills. And I'm like, that's not what she said. They might have a joint account where everything goes in there, but he might be the one that rations it out to make sure she don't shop away all the daggone money. Essentially, is what I took from it. But I said, not you trying to throw her a bone. And we did see they had their court date. They had an appearance this week, a couple of days ago, and they will be getting tried separately. She is doing a speedy trial, a right to a speedy trial. Eddie is waiving his right to a speedy trial. I said, Eddie's going to take the fall. Eddie's going to take the fall. It's what a good husband would do. He the one that sent the email. You the one with the incriminating evidence. You go. I got to stay for this TV show, so when you get out, you got something to come home to. Okay? Give Wendy some probation. Okay? Give her house arrest. Put an ankle monitor on her so you got to know where she at. Give her some stipulations, but she don't need no jail time. Neither one of them needs jail time. Get some ankle monitors. Wendy 1 year, Eddie 3. Come on. Leave them folks alone. Let them raise them kids. Let them pay back whatever money. They didn't even get the full payout. They only got like $20,000 on like what was it? 400,000, 200,000? I don't know what it was, but they didn't get a whole lot. I said, dang, all this, and you ain't even get a lot. So, Giselle, Wendy ends up giving a brief explanation of what she can say. And I ain't gonna lie, I was with Karen when Karen opened her mouth. Karen was like, you know what, Andy? Earlier, when I said you need to shut the fuck up, I didn't mean it then. I mean it now. Wendy, I don't want you to do this, okay? But Wendy says, you know, everything I'm saying, I already cleared it with my lawyer. These are things that's public knowledge, yada, yada, yada. I said, that's true, but still, you don't need to be blabbing too much and something slip or something, because I think she was doing a lot. I said, for once I agree with Karen, y'all, a broke clock is right twice a day. So, although Wendy's approach is to fall on the sword, I think that she could benefit for stop talking as well. She ain't saying too much, but I mean, girl, let's just... Wendy receives what Karen is saying. Andy asked her a question about, oh, you know, so people think, you know, between trying to take care of your mom and, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, your new look, you know, that's why you have to do fraud. Is that the case, Wendy? They said you were in substantial debt. Is that the case, Wendy? Wendy's just like, if that's their opinion, they have their opinion. I said, me as somebody that got degrees, she probably had substantial debt on the student loan side. For sure, I can believe it. For sure. 4 degrees from the both of them? Oh, for sure. There's absolutely some student loan debt, but people with degrees in student loan debt, we don't count that as real debt. It's there. So, where we at with it? He asked her who gonna look after the kids if something happens. Andy, I hope we don't have to get there. And she just crying. And she's sitting there, you know, with her chest, you know, with her head held high, but she is crying. I'm like, dang, girl, take a note from Candace in the cry angle. Get up in there. Get up in there before it fall on the cheek, girl. That cry angle is something serious, girl. Wendy says the good thing is both sides of the family have rallied around them and been supportive. That was surprising to me. He brought up the 67 credit cards. She said, no, it wasn't 67 credit cards. It was 67 aliases for their packages. Sometimes famous people put their packages names in aliases so that weird people don't go through their mail, because there are weird people, and I would do the same if I was any type of famous. If I had any type of a recognizable name, I would absolutely have an alias for my packages. Are you crazy? So Eddie comes out. Wendy's like trying not to break down. He's comforting her. And I'm like, dang, we ain't have no husband segment. We have no husband segment, y'all. I screamed. Most of the OGs ain't got no man. Most of the new chicks do, but the OGs don't. But even the new chicks, I don't think they men would have sort of participated. I don't think Timo would have participated. I think Greg would have came. He wouldn't have said much, but Greg would have came. I don't think, what's Tia's husband? They said Tia's husband not really doing either. Tia's husband. So it wouldn't have been no fun, no way. So they're resetting, y'all. They're resetting right now. And I was like, why are they resetting at the end? I'm like, oh yeah, they finna do the pictures after they close. So they coming back in, sitting down to do the closing. And Kiana says, where's Giselle's package? Giselle ain't get no package. Where's Giselle's package? Wendy like, Giselle didn't get a package? And Giselle's like, yeah, where's me? Where's me? I was cracking up, y'all. Oh, but right before that, Kiana sat down, and the way she had her dress completely draped over where Angel would be sitting. And Angel's like, girl, you're going to have to move some room. I need room for my feet. Oh. Kiana is just so nasty to that lady. Please, Angel, please watch this stuff back and understand that lady is not your friend. But back to Giselle not getting a package, y'all. She is just, where's me? Where's me? She looking around like that Beyonce, you know, that Beyonce gift. What was it? Was it when, why would I give y'all notes now if y'all didn't do the notes yesterday? She had curly hair. She looking around at everybody. Like, did y'all fix the other stuff? What y'all talking about? The smirk on Ashley's face as Giselle is being humbled yet again, okay? Baby, first she was humbled at the top of the reunion when she came out there thinking she finna be first chair. And Andy said, you're sitting next to Wendy. Scoop, boop, scoop boot. And now she's sitting there like, yeah, where's my package? What about me? And Andy's like, any last words? Any last words? Andy's like, yep. And it's not even the fact that it's happening. Well, yes, it's the fact that it's happening, but it's also the fact that they're showing us that it's happening. That could have been left on the cutting room floor. We could have got something else for those combined 45 seconds of humiliation for Giselle. So the fact that they left it there, baby, I screamed. Now he got her dancing for her dinner. Okay, y'all remember Hey Arnold, when Chocolate Boy was, when he realized that he needed to get off his chocolate addiction because they had him dancing on the sidewalk for them malted milk balls. Dance for it. He was just a jig. This is Giselle. This is Giselle dancing for her dinner, dancing for her spot, okay? Because she knows that she's on thin ice. She said, well, since I didn't get a package, let me just sum up what's going on in my life. And nothing. Her girls are living. One of them just crossed AKA. She claims she got a new business venture on the horizon. Sure, Jan. That's it. She says, she even goes as far as to say she's gonna have to be more open to change, okay? She essentially is saying that she's not gonna haze the new girls. I said, we'll see. We'll see, because you realizing Hayes and Stacey, the way y'all have this season, may have backfired just a smidge, okay? Her 30-second elevator pitch for her life, we shall see how it works, okay? We shall see how well it worked. But that is it for Potomac for this season, season 10, child. It was cool. It was cool. The season was much better than the reunion. I think the fact that we spent like 4 episodes in Colorado, but we spent like barely a minute on Colorado. Like, how long did they talk about Colorado? It was very short. I think it was like 1 question. It was insane. And it's making me think, did y'all set Angel up? I didn't want to believe it, but the fact that y'all didn't have any type of conversation around it makes me feel like maybe y'all did. Maybe y'all let her be gullible, because still, even if it was my trip and I'm a newbie, I'm not gonna stay no hour away. Crazy work. But anywho, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what y'all think. I got some lights, y'all see? Your girl got some lights now. I got my 2 lights, so it's not like a ring light head on. I'm gonna scoot this one over a little bit. It's still like right in my periphery. But your girl got some lights now, so I'm excited about that. The room don't look so dark and stuff. Yeah. Like, subscribe, comment. Until next time, bye-bye.